I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will now be moving on to roll call. President Wadsworth.
Here.
Vice President Fees is here. Treasurer Self is excused. Secretary Emanuele.
Here.
Chief Justice Nolan.
Here.
Senator Walke. Here. Senator Guntert. Senator Yella is excused for today. Senator Totino. Here. Pro Tem Schnorr.
Here.
Senator Miles. Senator Fisher.
Here.
Senator Blackwood.
Here.
Our Chief of Staff is excused. Our advisor. Here. CFB.
Here.
Wildcat Media.
Here.
Webb.
Here.
Wildcat Esports.
Here.
Our SAC rep is absent, and our Res Life rep is absent. Seeing that roll call has been concluded, we will now move on to the approval of minutes and agenda for today. Do we have any discussion? Our president.
I would like to motion to skip all reports for today.
Is that an entertained motion?
Yes.
Do I have a so moved? So moved by Senator Walke. Do I have a second? Seconded by Senator Fisher. Do we have any discussion on the motion to skip all reports today? Senator Guntert.
Why?
Our president.
There's a lot on the
Okay.
agenda that we probably should get done.
Do we have any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, does anybody oppose unanimous consent to the motion? Seeing none, this motion passes 7-0-0. We will move back into the approval of minutes and agenda for today. Do we have any further discussion? Our president.
I would just like to say, I don't believe it needs to be a motion. If anyone thinks that it should be or knows Robert's rule more than I do. But the budget was not on the agenda for this week. It was tabled for 1 week, so it should be back on the agenda for this week in old business still. So I would just like to ask everybody to, I don't know, do I need to motion it?
I don't know. It could be under House rules. It doesn't really specify, to be completely honest with you.
So I guess that's a question to the Senate. Do you believe that it needs to be a motion, or does it fall under House rules, I guess?
Senator Fisher.
I feel we should motion until next week when the treasurer is back.
Wildcat
Table it.
Esports.
Does that give the Senate enough time to go over it, as there's only 2 meetings?
After this? Our president.
I would recommend still discussing it today, talking about it. I know there's, the treasurer isn't the only one that was in the budget committee and made the budget. So I would recommend still at least discussing it today, talking amongst yourselves, asking the org heads questions about why they made the decision that they did. But I guess I was wondering where and how we should put it back onto the agenda. If you all believe that it needs to be a motion or House rules, but definitely should be on the agenda.
Do we have any further discussion? Our president.
I guess I'll entertain a motion to add it to, I'd like to add the budget to the end of old business.
Hold on, I'm looking in House rules to see if it's a House rules thing before I recognize that motion. Because I believe there is something in here that states that mistakes are under House rules and they're fixed under House rules. So I'm just looking through that. Hold for technical difficulties. I'm going to accept the motion. Do I have a so moved? So moved by Senator Gunter. Do we have a second? Seconded by Senator Totino. Do we have any further discussion on the motion to add in the resolution for the budget that was missing from this agenda? Senator Gunter. Our president.
The end of old business.
Do we have any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, we will move into a period of voting for this. All those in favor of the motion to add on the budget resolution? All those who oppose? And all those who abstain? That passes 7-0-0. The budget resolution has been added to the end of old business. Do we have any further discussion for the approval of minutes and agenda today? CFB.
Did we vote to skip reports? Did we already do that? Yeah. Okay.
Do we have any further discussion? Seeing none, does anybody oppose the approval of minutes and agenda? The minutes and agenda pass 7-0-0 today. We will now move on to announcements. We have no announcements. We will now move on to guest speakers. We have no guest speakers. Seeing as all reports have been skipped for today, we will move directly into old business. Bill 2324-14, org policy updates. Senator Blackwood.
Okay, give me a second.
You're good.
This might take a while. I'm s- Okay. I'm so sorry. This is gonna take a while.
You're good.
Bayla, can you send me the thing again? I'm sorry. Right now. Okay. Motion to accept bill number 2324-13.
Dash 14.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
You're good. Just for clarification for the Senate. Do I have a, hold on. I believe this is a, oh wait, why is this? What? Agenda's out of order. This is a policy bill. This does not require a second. You may proceed.
We, the members of the student government at Utica of SUNY Poly, as represented in the Senate, do enact as follows. The purpose of this bill is to update the SGU policies and procedures.
Do we have any discussion on this bill? Our president.
Just so,
can
go ahead, no, go ahead.
clarification? The purpose of this bill is to change the way current organizations within the student government at Utica are structured, defined, and recognized.
Yes. Thank you. Our president.
Just so everybody knows, the agenda, I believe, is out of order, so just be aware and make sure that you're looking at the right one.
This is bill number 2324-14, change in organization structure and recognition. Do we have any discussion for this bill? Senator Gunter.
Question towards the org heads, just as a last clarification or last question. Do you guys feel comfortable with this bill passing for future, org heads and executives, and the future of the orgs itself?
CFB.
I'll go first. I looked through this bill. I feel pretty comfortable about it. I don't find any issues related to it. So, I guess that's my piece.
Wildcat Esports.
I also looked through this and worked with policy committee to work on this bill, and I believe that it's good for the future of Wildcat Esports.
Wildcat Media.
I looked through it. Nice work. It looks good.
Do we have any further discussion on the bill? Seeing no further discussion on this bill, we will move into a period of voting for bill number 2324-14. All those in favor of passing this bill into law? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All those who oppose? And all those who abstain. This bill passes 7-0-0. We will now, oh boy, I lost my spot. We will now move on to bill number 2324-15, web policy updates. That is going to be Pro Tem Shore.
Motion to accept Senate Bill number 2324-15.
Do I have a second? Seconded by Senator Gunter.
We, the members of the student government at Utica of SUNY Poly, as represented in the Senate, do enact as follows. The purpose of this bill is to update and reorganize the Wildcat Events Board.
Do we have any discussion on this bill? Senator Gunter.
So I'm going to direct this question at the president. Can you again highlight the changes that are happening?
Our president.
So I'll say the same thing I did last week. In the past, WEB has been made up of the president, the treasurer, secretary, marketing coordinator, vice president for homegrown events, vice president for contracted events, 3 homegrown events coordinators, 2 contracted events coordinators. That's a lot, and the way that WEB really works is we work as one team. So the contracted events coordinators don't just do contracted events, and the homegrown events coordinators don't just do homegrown events. They all work together for the same goal, which is creating events. So we really wanted to kind of restructure that in a little bit of a different way. Additionally, the treasurer position for WEB is very difficult because the president is primarily the one putting in purchase requests, looking at purchase requests, and honestly approving. They're the ones that have to create the budget for WEB anyway, so it's very difficult for the treasurer to know like what really has been allocated towards certain things. So we actually wanted to get rid of that treasurer position, make that any approvals by the president, as that's kind of how it goes anyway. Internally, they kind of get things approved by the president before putting in a purchase request, so just making that a little bit easier and more organized. The secretary position, WEB doesn't do agendas, minutes, anything like that because it's not a part of our audit or anything like that. I did include in there something along the lines of if you're requested to do agendas or minutes by the president or vice president of SGU, then it is the president's responsibility. I can't remember if I put the president or the vice president's responsibility, which it was that way before. The president was responsible for minutes and agendas, so even then the secretary still didn't do them, which was kind of strange to me. So we also eliminated that position to, again, increase the amount of event coordinators that we can have to alleviate some of the stress. The more event coordinators we have, the less events that each coordinator has to go to. So again, just reorganizing the structure of it a little bit, and overall just more clearly defining it. Before they had to be every event, which is still written that way, but again, internally we don't require them to go to every event. If they have a big exam the next day, or they're sick, or they've been to 7 events already this week, we kind of divvy it out that way internally. So.
Do we have any further discussion on this bill? Senator Miles.
This is more of a technical question, but it says Senate Bill number 2223-15. Should that be 2023-2024? Okay.
Is that under? Do I need a motion now? Yeah, probably.
Motion to change Senate Bill number 2223-15 to 2023-2024. Wait, no. 2324-15.
Do I have a second to the motion? Seconded by Senator Totino. Do we have any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion on this motion, does anybody oppose unanimous consent to the change? Seeing none, that motion passes 7-0-0. We will now be moving back into discussion of Bill number 2324-15. Do we have any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll move into a period of voting for this bill. All those in favor of Bill 2324-15 for passage? All those who oppose? And all those who abstain? This bill passes 7-0-0. We're going to move on to the next bill, Senate Bill number 2324-16, new club funding board policies and procedures. Senator Gunter.
Motion to accept bill number 2324-16.
Because this is a committee bill, you may proceed.
We, the Senate SUNY Poly Student Government at Utica, enact as follows. The purpose of this bill is to nullify the current CFB policies and procedures and instate a new CFB policies and procedures.
Do we have any discussion on this bill? CFB.
Just for the senator's reference, could you, like the executive board, send out the proposed policies and procedures? I know it was sent out last week. I don't know if you can like respond to the email or just to send it out again.
Yeah, I can forward that email. President Wadsworth.
So I actually have a question for Policy Committee, CFB. So this is gonna go, I guess I just wanna, can somebody clarify the transition of the current policy to the new policy, how the budgets, extra funding requests, and the budget tiers, how would that roll over? It says it's gonna be active until the spring of '25. Could you guys just clarify like what that transition's gonna look like a little bit?
CFB.
So the way that, because this is a lot to handle, there's a lot that we are changing within CFB. The way that I was going to slowly transition it was I was going to, you know, as soon as this is passed, introduce it to the class. Whether it be this semester or next semester, introduce it to the class, basically saying, hey, this is what's going to be happening towards the spring. From there, as this isn't until 2025, we will slowly kind of move towards being like, hey, this is what's going to happen. Hey, here's some stuff with the budget that's going to be happening. And then as soon as spring happens, then I'm going to kick it all into gear. So fall will kind of serve as the transition period in which I will educate them on the bill, the different things that are going to be changing within the tier systems, and kind of going it off from there. Does that make any sense?
Yep.
Okay.
Our audience member? Okay, yeah, our audience member.
Hello, I'm Priscilla Novak. I am Secretary of CFB, and I would like to say that these policies and procedures change to CFB are only going to be helpful to our clubs and also the CFB ourselves. One of the biggest problems with the current system is that it is very gameable and also very can be easily abused by clubs, as clubs can host just tiny events to get to the highest tier, or do some like 1 or 2 volunteering things. It makes it so like any club can reach the highest amount of things, but they might be a club that simply only needs $10 to run, and they can be getting thousands of dollars, which could be going to other clubs that might need it instead. Along with this, we also have the problem of the fact that if we do make these changes, we definitely do due to how we're like doing it, where students have to make their own budget. It would be both unfair and also asking too much of our clubs to instantly prepare us next year, because we should at least give them a year ahead of time to go over all those events, all the things, and get their average budget per year. Because the idea of this is each club will be able to set their own budget, and if they don't know how much their own budget is from previous experiences, because currently they have no reason to keep said budget. But if they start keeping it, they can accurately give how much they have and how much they need, and therefore no club ends up getting too much money or too little money. And basically, as CFB secretary, I can only see good changes with this.
Do we have any further discussion with this bill? Senator Gunter.
To CFP Chair or Priscilla, how did the new policies and procedures, I guess, further enforce like accountability of the clubs to uphold their events and whatever else their duties are?
So the big change we're doing is that there's still going to be kind of so we still kind of have the requirements when it comes to events and stuff, but we are changing it from, technically we have already changed it to being yearly instead of by semester. Well, currently, going over the current things, it is still supposed to be by semester. So currently for the highest level of activation, you're supposed to have two events, 2 fundraisers, and then one fundraiser and then 2 volunteer opportunities. The big thing, though, is that this is also unfair to some amount of clubs because the 2 volunteering things could be heard, especially for small clubs which might not have a lot of members. And then the 2 events could be heard for clubs that are seasonal, such as the Snow and Ski Bud. This especially was worse when we were doing it still by semester instead of by yearly, because like Snow and Ski Bud would not be able to do anything at all during the first semester, and they would not be able to meet the requirements, at least maybe not until like the last week or 2 of semester when we start getting snow, and then they'd only be able to do things in the beginning of this semester. The big change with this one is that we're still going to have the requirements of the highest tier requiring 5 events, but the thing is, you basically have the ability of either choosing 5 events or 5 fundraising opportunities, or you can make a mix of however you want. So you could do like 3 fundraisers or 5 events. And this allows a club to make sure they're still getting in the required amount that we want of them to have it, since you don't want a club that's doing nothing to have a lot of money. But this makes it so it's no longer unfair to certain clubs, so small clubs will no longer be forced to be doing like so many volunteer things, and then big clubs won't be like, or seasonal clubs won't be forced to have to host random events that have nothing to do with the club just to make sure they get the funding they're required to do. This is also good for our more like, I don't want to say advanced, but more like physical labor-y clubs like Baja Club, because Baja only does a couple events a year because of the fact they're building little cars, and it's a bit hard to do 500 events. And this makes it so where they can still have as many events as they need, and they don't have to come up with events just to fill out a check sheet. That's the current problem that's currently happening is we have clubs which are just doing events because they just need to fill off that checklist. And if we get rid of this, we won't have empty events or anything like that, and we'll have events that both our students will want to go to, and our clubs will actually have fun hosting and running. Along with this, we are also removing the fundraiser capability because the idea is the fact that our clubs should not be having to run, like they shouldn't be having to gain their own money, since the point of CFB is we're giving them money, so why are we then forcing them to raise money themselves? And the only really big change, it's also more important is the fact that we're removing the fact that they get to keep building up money, because the current problem also we have is clubs can build up money over time by saving it from semester to semester, but this has also caused a problem with clubs will basically go out of the way to get the highest tier of funding, and then they won't do anything on that money because they're just building it up and building it up and building it up just in case they will need that like 10K to run an event. Mm-hmm. Making that change makes it that way our clubs are actually actively using the money and they're not just kind of like siphoning the money into their like club accounts and never touching it, because as we all know, idle money does not help anyone, and using the money actually helps. So there's no point in giving clubs idle money, and this gets rid of that problem.
Chief Justice Nolan, do you mind taking the chair position for this bill?
I accept the chair.
Okay,
Miss Ava Fees.
thank you. So I think to further answer your question when it comes to accountability, right, like the idea is you as a club are given, right, the money directly off the bat, right, and you have the freedom to do what you need to do with that money, right? I like to think of it almost like, I can't remember the name of the agency, but there's a New York State agency, like NYSED. I think of it like a grant from like the New York State Education Department, in which they say, here's all of this money for you to do good and do what you need to do. Meet back with me in a year, and we'll and if you do what you're supposed to do, we'll keep giving you that money. And if you don't do what we need to do, we need to have a larger discussion, right? So when clubs come to us to get their money, they've done what they need to do. You just keep getting your money, right? Like I think of it more of like a I'm trying to like find a good word for it. Right? Like a plain and simple like solution to the system, right? If you don't do what you're supposed to do, you just don't get your money. You know what I mean? And like I know that sucks. But clubs are to serve the entire student body. It gives clubs the freedom that they need to function as clubs and do what they want to do and pursue those goals. But it also at the same time gives them responsibilities to build the soft skills like budgeting for the year, time management skills, you know what I mean? And I hope that answers your question. It also adds some checks and balances in the system. So as it stands, the CFB chair can just submit a resolution to freeze a club, right? And you would hope that, right, there's a reason. We haven't had an issue in the past where a club CFB chair is like, I don't like this club, I'm gonna freeze you for no reason, right? Like we've never had that, but it's certainly possible under the previous system. Now we have a CFB in the new policy CFB committee in which there is a handful of people, including a senator, and all disciplinary action, all freezing, all removal of funds have to go through that unbiased committee, or they're supposed to be unbiased. You switch out members depending on if somebody's involved in that, to help add a check and balance in there, and the majority vote has to be in favor of disciplinary action or something along those lines. So you're adding a checks and balances system in there as well. I think the big thing, right, is you know, you do what you're supposed to do and you get the funds you need to do, you know what I mean? And if you don't do what you're supposed to do, you just don't get funds. And right, that is kind of how I view it. It's how most of the professional world views it, you know what I mean? When you get a grant from NYSED, or if you're a not-for-profit and you get a grant from the state, as long as you do what you do, you get your money. And if you don't, you just don't, so. Yeah, I know that sounds like strict and I know that sounds strange, but like that's how I'm, you know, yeah, I'm gonna yield now because now I'm ranting.
Our president.
I think the other piece too is, the nice thing is, there's more than one level of accountability from what I've read and what I understand. First it goes through the CFB. That's what they're calling it. It'll go through that to say, okay, the clubs have done this check, you know, to see if they've actually, I don't want to say earned their budget for the following year, but they've done everything that they promised last year, and so this is what we're going to do. But then it also gets to go back to the Senate. So I think ultimately it's also the Senate's accountability too, to say, I actually haven't seen what the Cheese Club do anything this year. Could you actually show us the certificate of event or the volunteer opportunity or something that they've done this year to warrant this funding? And it's really, you know, we say all the time, it's the Senate's responsibility too to make sure that these clubs are being held accountable, right? Because CFB is a much smaller group than the Senate is, of course. So it ultimately it all comes back to you, and it's the same thing that you do with esports to say, esports isn't doing anything this year, maybe we should relook at their budget. Or in what other ways do you plan on increasing your engagement with students this year to warrant this budget again for next year, or things along that line. But ultimately it comes back to CFB, and it also comes back to SGU and the Senate as a whole, because they become part of our budget in that way too. So, no, sorry, esports. I yield.
Our audience member.
Okay, so I'd also like to bring out an important fact that is very important of this, and that is, as you know, so as CFB secretary, I've had to be at every single CFB weekly meeting this semester. And one of the big things I want to point out about this is we have asked, when we started talking about this, started finalizing this, we have asked our club executives, at least the ones who are going, and theoretically they should all be there technically, and we asked them to not only share these procedures and policy updates to their club executives and also their general club members, but we've also asked them to take a vote on whether they were okay with this, they were not okay with this, or if they wanted some changes or clarifications. I'd like to point out that in almost every single vote, we have gotten a majority of people saying that they were okay with it, and we've never really gotten any club executive saying they were against it, just more that they were confused about certain policy updates, or that they wanted slight things. So I think it's important to keep in mind that our club executives, the people that this will be affecting the most, do want this change.
Vice President Fees.
Also sort of build off of Bailey's point, like you can ask for documents. all the documents under these policies and procedures are standardized, so all the documents have to look the same. Like your budget has to look generally similar. Your fundraiser, forms have to look generally similar. Your community service work, et cetera, et cetera. And there's also a team that supports clubs, so it's not just, here, clubs, take the money and hope you do well. You know what I mean? Like we've also built supports in here, right? So, as you go out through the year, if we find that a club is really struggling, it is the job of the club financial officer under the CFB policies and the director of club funding to step in, or director of club financial advisor, something along those lines, which the name is what it's going to be, and the director of club operations. It is their job to step in and make sure those clubs don't flop as well. So we have supports, the accountability systems in place to make sure, right, things go smoothly. My big hope for this is that this is just the start of CFB, right? Like I think as much as student government does a lot of advocacy work, really the clubs are the backbone of the social service, like the social part of being on campus, right? Though I don't know, I didn't start SGU. I started as a club member and I came to SGU. You know what I mean, right? Like we are the advocacy group, but the clubs are out there. They are doing a lot of events, not that Webb doesn't, but they are like the start of a lot of first year social circles, right? And my hope is we are beginning to support and acknowledge and recognize that clubs are this beginning of social supports right here. So that's my hope for this, right? Like, do I think this policy is perfect? Nothing is. I am a human, I am fallible. But my hope is this is the backbone to start a system in which we support our clubs and, further enhance the already beautifully blossoming social circles that I'm witnessing on this campus, especially from the current first year class. So that is my hope, and with the standardization of everything. So I'm gonna shut up now because this has been my baby and I will continue to talk.
Our audience member.
I just have one final thing to say about this, going off of what Ava just said. And this is coming not as CFA secretary, but instead secretary of the SUNY Poly Creativity Club. Our club has always been one of the small ones, but this year, starting last fall, we started getting an influx of first years who are going to our club and starting to form social circles and starting to gain more social members than they might have had otherwise. Along with this, I have had multiple people in the club admit to me that the only reason they are really active in their active on campus, and they actually left their dorm room, is because they were part of our club and are starting to make friends of our club. Like, these are people who said otherwise they would just be spending all their time in the dorm. So I think supporting our clubs is a wonderful way, especially since we are more of a tech school in which people are more generally kind of shy when it comes to going out and interacting with others. So this gives, and supporting our clubs in general is a good thing because this gives a way for not even just new students, but for old students who might not have, met people otherwise, to go out, make new friends, get new experiences, and also to actually do stuff on campus, because that's one of the biggest problems when we do have events on campus is that people just don't come out, just don't go to come out. But when they have those friends, they have those experiences, they'll want to do it because maybe their friends are at the event or maybe their club's hosting an event. I guess the big thing I'm saying is our clubs should be supported the best of our capability as not only SGU but CFB, so that way we can continue to having these positive growths and experiences for our students.
CFB chair.
So just to kind of wrap everything up, because that was a lot said for the senators, to kind of put it in the best way possible, to give peace of mind, this has been through a lot. This policy and procedures has gone through the executive board, it's gone through CFP, it's gone through all the clubs. We've had meetings for the past 2 semesters. This has been through a lot of work. Now, it's not perfect. Nothing will ever be. So if you guys have anything you want to change, this is kind of the time that you guys would want to speak now on it. But overall, we've worked pretty hard on this. This has been through the ring. And I approve of this.
Mr. Farmer.
Call to question.
Okay, does anyone second that? Senator Guntert. We'll go into voting. All who are in favor of a call to question?
Directly into voting. That is what you're voting on.
All who oppose? And all who abstain? revote. Okay. We will be doing a revote. Please raise your hands high. All in favor, please raise your hand. All who oppose, and all who abstain. We'll be moving into voting because of the call to question. In favor of Senate Bill 2324-16, all who are in favor of this passing into law. All who oppose, and all who abstain. Seeing as it passed with unanimous consent, Senate Bill 2324-16 passes. I hand the chair back to our Vice President Fees.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Guys, that was a win for me today. I needed that. Thank you so much for all your patience with me for that. Appreciate it. We will, thank you for the applause. I appreciate it. We will now move into resolution 2324-13 as per the motion today. This is for the budget. You said the end of old business.
Sorry.
Resolution number 2324-13, Senator Miles.
Number 2324-113.
Yes. This is a committee bill, so you may proceed. This is the budget. Was that sent out after the motion? The budget's not on the agenda. This is the resolution for the budget that was motioned out at the beginning of the meeting.
Yeah, just please refer to last week's
Mhm.
agenda if possible for the budget. Do you not have it?
It's resolution.
It's resolution 2324-13, correct? That's the
Yeah.
budget. Oh, did I say bill by accident? I might have said bill by accident. It's resolution.
Can someone share that document with me, please?
Okay, Nick's sending it.
I might have downloaded that email, I don't have it. Oh, thank you. Sorry about that.
Our secretary sent it out too. That helps.
We, the Senate of SUNY Poly Student Government at Utica, do hereby resolve. This resolution creates a budget for the student government at Utica and its subsidiary student organizations for the 2024-2025 academic year.
The resolution has to be read in full.
Whereas the SGU Budget Committee voted in favor of sending the proposed budget to the SGU Senate, therefore be it enacted, the SGU Senate fully supports and endorses the attached budget to the operating budget for the year 2024-2025. Therefore be it resolved, be it finally resolved, this budget will allow SGU and its subsidiaries to carry out their mission statement and to cater to the students of SUNY Poly.
Do we have any discussion on the resolution? CFB.
So just to kind of stimulate discussion a little bit, because this is a lot of information, it's a lot for the budget. I'm just going to explain CFB side. So what we are kind of doing, at least when I've been in budget committee, is we are increasing a lot of the stipends to kind of match what we're planning to do in the future. At least for the CFB's budget, we're also increasing our activation funding and our extra funding requests because there's a lot more clubs than there were previously. So at least for CFB side, for those who didn't attend the budget committee, that is what we are adding. That's why we are getting more funds for CFB, just because there's more clubs and there's a lot more that we need to do.
Senator Gunter.
A bit of a different direction. Seeing as Logan gave us an update saying that there's not going to be an increase in students, I don't feel comfortable having the giant increase in stipends. So I think the budget will have to be tabled back to budget at some point, be it at the end of this meeting or next meeting, to rework the stipends to not have such a large increase in our budget.
Our president.
So I guess here's what I will say about that. I think that we are at a point where, in the past, it has been precedent. It's never a policy. It's never been a policy about increasing your own stipends. So, in the past, it has been that if an executive member is returning, it is unethical to raise their stipend. This is probably the first time that I have ever seen where none of the executive board is returning, and so now is the time to do it. Additionally, I would like to kind of add in that SGU is we work a lot. Of course, I'm not going to sit up here and say like, oh, I work 100 hours a week, but I think that we are at a point where student leaders are also students, and they are people with bills. And we're having a really hard time with recruitment and keeping our student leaders, rightfully so. Of course, we don't want to ask our student leaders to give up any time for a very small amount. So what I would actually recommend doing, and I don't know if this needs to be tabled back to budget or if this can just be a conversation that we all have here, because we only have, 3 more meetings?
Yeah.
Which one?
2.
2. So tabling it back is just, I don't know if there's time for it, unless you all really want summer meetings, so it's possible. But I guess I would look at other avenues. Personally, I think that there are other places. So, if we are only going to have the CFB train for a little bit longer until the new policies come into effect, do we need that? $5,000, $10,000 in extra funding for SGU? Or there's other places that we can look at to cut funding from too. So, but I personally am very passionate about a stipend increase for our student leaders, because even the amounts that are in the new stipends are not a lot for the amount of work that they do. We're not RAs, unfortunately. We can never compare to RAs, but I think that we're also in a point in time where, like I mentioned earlier, students have bills to pay. They have tuition to pay, car insurance, phone bills, all of these things, and they cannot, as much as some students really want to, they cannot give up that time where they could be working, a full-time, part-time job for this. So this, doing our part to just make sure that SGU is sustainable for the foreseeable future. We look at next year, and we don't have two executive positions filled. We have several org head positions that aren't yet to be approved, and some of our senators even have mentioned not returning, and it's just, we got to look at the future of SGU and how we can better support those students. So I would recommend looking at other avenues, looking at other places as, maybe we could cut from there. But no, I do agree that, last year when we passed the budget, we actually went in the red a little bit, and we passed the budget knowing that we were also going to be pulling from reserves, which of course is not sustainable in any way, shape, or form. Of course, we want to grow our reserves, not take from it. So I would recommend obviously not going into the negative with the budget this year, but also maybe looking other ways and other avenues. So and that's part of what we're here for as the Senate and SGUs, to kind of go over that and ask questions. So. Sorry, that was a rant. I yield.
Any further discussion on the resolution? CFB.
So I guess so I'm just kind of going to spitball here, just kind of my 2 cents on this. While I definitely can see wanting to reduce stipends because we are taking out a lot of money, I think this is okay to take out money in this case. I mean, we have just looking at the numbers on this PDF, we have $464,000 in reserves from just unrestricted cash reserves. Yes, it's not sustainable to take out money every single year, but I think in this case, it's okay, just because A, we have a lot that we saved up, and it's okay to use a little bit of money that we saved up, and B, I think this would help, especially with stipends, because we can, recruiting-wise, having stuff that's increasing in stipends and having increasing money, we people will say, you know, they'll go around all campus and be like, oh wow, they're increasing stipends. Oh wow, this is new jobs that I can make good money from. You know, so I think that this is good, but that's just my 2 cents. I'm not the one that's voting on this.
Do we have any further discussion on the resolution? Senator Gunter,
Table until next week.
our president.
Do you want to ask for a second first?
Do I have a second? Seconded by Senator Fisher. Do we have any discussion? Our president.
I would recommend just, because it's in old business and it was motioned on today, it can't be voted on today.
House
So
rules.
I would just recommend waiting until next week anyway to leave it. So that's just my opinion, but of course, feel free to do whatever your heart desires.
Motion has been rescinded from the original individual. Do we have any further discussion on the resolution? Seeing none, in accordance to our House rules, this was a motioned on resolution. We will not be voting on it this day. We will move into new business as old business has been concluded. Bill number 2324-13, SGU policy updates. Senator Walke.
Number 2324-13.
Do I have a second? Seconded by Senator Fisher. You may proceed.
We, the members of student government at Utica of SUNY Poly, as represented in the Senate, do enact as follows. The purpose of this bill is to update the SGU policies and procedures.
Do we have any discussion on this bill? Seeing no discussion on this bill, seeing as it is a new business, we will be voting on it next time. That concludes new business for this week. We will now move into a period of open forum. Do we have anything for open forum today? Our president.
I do. Okay, so I wanted to take a few minutes. I have 5, right? I have up to 5 minutes.
You're not an audience member, so you get unlimited time.
So I wanted to tell you all about something that is happening next week. It is called Apocalypse Week. I'm very excited about it. I have spent months planning it with Webb. We're very excited about it. So for those of you that don't know what Apocalypse Week is, it is the week before the last week of classes on campus. It's called Apocalypse Week because at that point in the semester, students are walking around like zombies. So it is a week long of programming. We're very, very excited for it. And so I just want to take a few minutes to tell you about the fun things that are going on. You'll notice a lot of the ones throughout the day are tabling events because we totally recognize that students have classes, want to stop in between, have very little time. So you'll notice that a lot of them are very quick, grab and go, make and take kind of activities. So if you have 10 minutes, we encourage you to stop by. On Monday, we have Meditation Mondays that is provided by the Wellness Center, as it is every week, but we wanted to include as a part of Apocalypse Week because, again, this is supposed to be a stress relief, very fun week for students on campus. So that is Monday from 12 to 1 p.m. in the Fieldhouse NPR. From 11 to 2 in the Student Center lobby, we are doing Cooking Mama tabling with Wildcat Esports. They are so graciously buying us Cooking Mama. So stop and make some recipes for a part of your decompression. Again, from 3 to 7 in the Student Center lobby, we are doing Walter's Spice Wars. So you can come and work with some of the chefs on campus to create your own spice. We do have 2 recipes that you can follow. We have a Cajun seasoning and a barbecue seasoning that you can come and make, or you can design your very own spice. We're very excited about that, so stop by and bring your spice home with you. At 8 p.m., we have hypnotist Michael C. Anthony. So if you have ever seen a hypnotist, it is probably, I look back on my time on campus, and I think the time I have laughed the most is with a hypnotist. Thank you, Ava, for that. So if you would like to see everybody dancing on stage, some of your friends that you never thought would do that, I highly recommend it. It is hilarious. So please stop by for that, and that is Monday. Tuesday, we have from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the Student Center lobby. We have tote bag decorating. We have SUNY Poly tote bags that you can come stop by. We have some fabric markers that you can color the tote bags with and take them to go. From 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. we have intention bracelets. Those are you decide whatever word you would like. You can do your name. You can do a word that you feel really resonates with you in that very moment. stamp it with literal hammers, and you can do that bracelet and take it home with you. From, I can't read, sorry, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. again in the Student Center lobby by Wildcat Esports. We are doing Wii Sports, so if you want to do a quick round of tennis, go for it. And then at 8 p.m., we're really excited about this one. Youth Pastor Ryan, the comedian, is coming to campus. We're very, very excited about that. He is not an actual youth pastor, just so you know. So please, please, please look him up a little bit, see what his comedic style is, and stop by. We're really excited to bring him to campus. He is taking a break from his sold-out tour in Los Angeles to fly all the way to SUNY Poly, be with us, and then fly all the way home. So come hang out with us for the night. And that is Tuesday. Wednesday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. we are calling it Roots of Change on campus. We're very excited about that. So that is moss art giveaways, air plant giveaways, grow kits where you can grow your own little succulent or plant. You can also decorate your very own little pot to put your plant in with stickers and markers and all of those things. We're also giving away self-watering bulbs, plant journals, and the Wellness Center is going to be with us to explain a little bit about the benefits of owning a plant, caring for a plant, you know, the scientific reasoning behind why plants make us happier people. So very excited about that. From 2 p.m. to 5 p.m., we are doing 1 week to Denim Day with Title IX. So you can come and decorate your own denim pocket to celebrate Denim Day and honor Denim Day the week later. So that is that. 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., we have Pride Trivia with Poly Pride. We're very excited about that. That's going to be Kahoot, again, in the Student Center lobby. At 8 p.m., everybody's favorite, we have Casino Night. One fun thing that we are doing this year for Casino Night is for those that don't know how to gamble, we're actually bringing on bingo. So you can play bingo instead to earn tickets and chips. So I highly encourage you all to come, stop by, and tell your friends about it, because that's one of the things that we hear the most about Casino Night is people are scared to come because they don't know how to gamble. So we kind of alleviated that barrier a little bit. And the prizes are super cool this year. We are doing very similar ones to last semester. So the PS5, the Xbox, the Nintendo Switch, they're all coming back along with the iPad. We're doing an iPad Apple Pencil bundle, an Apple Watch. So super fun prizes again this semester. Thursday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. is the Wellness Fair. I'm so excited about this. It's going to be so fun, and there are several therapy dogs coming to campus that day. So if you are an animal person, please go visit. I actually think it's going to be a really fun event. So that is by the Wellness Center again. From 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. we have spring cookie decorating, so come by. We're going to have edible pens so you can decorate whatever design you'd like. From 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. you can do speed puzzling with Ben Young and Kathy from Title IX. So go win some prizes and hang out with them for a little bit. At 9 p.m. we have Late Night at Poly with roller skating. We're going to have axe throwing again, along with a few other things. Game night, glow-in-the-dark game room, all sorts of fun things. We have and that is Thursday. Friday, we have the ping pong competition from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. I actually just realized in this very moment that I put ping pong on the schedule instead of cut pong. It is cut pong. That is my bad. Apparently I don't know the difference. And then 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. there is the multicultural fashion show, and the first 150 people to attend will get free dinner. It's a multicultural dinner, so stop by. It'll be really fun. That is completely club-based, so with MSU and Jazz and Hip Hop Club, along with the multicultural office on campus, are helping host that. So stop by. It'll be super fun. And then Saturday is everybody's favorite and very different this year. It is Carnival Day. So Carnival Day on campus is going to be a little bit different this year and a little bit better. So we're really excited about that. We're bringing in real amusement park rides, including the swings, the couch rides, bumper cars, zip lines, airbrush t-shirts, caricature artists, balloon artists, fair food, of course, game trailers, so you guys can compete with little water guns. We're very excited about it. So please stop by. Please come hang out. Of course, there's going to be giveaways throughout the entire week, so make sure you stop by because you never know when there's going to be fun stuff to do. If you have any questions, please contact me. If you have questions about content of any of the performances or anything like that, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, and I am happy to coordinate anything like that. As always, have another great week.
Do you have any other discussion for open forum? CFB.
So I'm going to bounce this off to the president, but I kind of want to say this out loud. We all also have the student gala that's going to be happening on Friday, the 26th. Now, President Wadsworth, could you please explain what the gala is?
I'm gonna take that as a yield to me.
Okay.
Sorry, I had a brain fart for a moment. The Student Recognition Gala is April 26th from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. at Harts Hill Inn. Anyone is invited to attend. It is a $15 ticket unless you are a student leader and have been invited, either by me or Ben, or have received some sort of communication with us or Zach. Each club does have 2 tickets. The president can designate whoever they'd like to go. Typically, the president is one of the tickets to go, but they could designate whoever they would like to go. Some of our clubs, our orgs, our student leaders, our RAs, anything like that are going to be there. So it's a great event to kind of, hang out with everybody, get some free food, and it's also the awards banquet. So the orgs are up for Org of the Year, Senator of the Year, Club of the Year, and all the other fun awards on campus. So that is pretty much what the Student Recognition Gala is. I've heard Harts Hill Inn has great potatoes. So
They do.
try that sweet. That's it. I yield.
Our audience member.
So just a quick question about the gala. So I know for some of the clubs, I mean, I already have a ticket because I'm in CFB, but I know some of the clubs I'm in, none of the executives want to go to the gala just because it's not their thing. But they were wondering if they could give it to the general club members, like their executive tickets. Would that be possible or no?
Our president.
Yeah, any representative of the club is more than welcome to attend. We encourage them to attend so that, you never know when you're going to win Club of the Year. So at least somebody is there, But yeah, they're absolutely, general members are welcome to attend.
Any other discussion for open forum? Our president.
Does esports want to talk about their fun events this weekend? I'm going to yield to esports.
So Fragfest is tomorrow. We will have our doors open at 2 p.m. So come bring your setup. We're going to have tables designated for people to bring their stuff, and we're also going to allow people to reserve spots. So you can, if you want to come a little bit earlier and your friends maybe have class until 4, you can bring and you can reserve spots so you can all be together. We will also have 20 computers available for students. But we will not be able to provide all students with keyboards, mice, or headsets. So we do encourage people to bring their own. We will be giving priority over open computers for people who do bring their own stuff. And also about pricing, we had a little bit of an error with aux services on purchasing, so we're still waiting for stuff to come in. We'll have an update on that tomorrow. Before everything. But if the prize that you win is not here, we will give it to you as soon as possible. It will be here before the semester ends, so you will be able to take it home from you at the end of the semester. I yield.
Do we have any further discussion for open forum? Seeing no further discussion for open forum, do we have any swear-ins today? Seeing no swear-ins for today, that concludes our agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Motioned by Wildcat Esports. Do I have a second? Seconded by Senator Wallachy. Do we have any discussion on adjournment? Seeing none, does anybody, Senator Wallachy, what is your discussion on adjournment?
Are you funky fresh today?
I am funky fresh today. Do we have any other discussion on open forum? Or adjournment? Seeing none, does anybody oppose unanimous consent to adjournment? Seeing none, adjournment passes 7-0-0. We are adjourned at